Okay, I'm going to do a quick video on Deep Sky Stacker settings to start off with. Very basic. Nothing fancy here. We can do some more later, but right now this is just basic setup to get you started. Just open Deep Sky Stacker. I have version 4.2.2. Those update every once in a while, not very often anymore. So I'm going to go to Options on the left side. Settings, register settings, got it at 48%. Reduce noise by medium filter is not checked. I'm going to click settings again. We have stacking settings. Result, this is how your results once you stack and everything. I have it in standard mode. Definitely check align RGB channels and final image, and use all available processors. It will speed things up. Do not check enable ×2 drizzle or ×3 drizzle. If you check either of these, your computer will run through a thing that may take it an hour, and at the end of the hour it will say it ran out of memory every time. If you're going to use these later, you have to be zoomed way in on an image before you can actually use either of these, otherwise they cause problems, so do not check them. You can do comet imaging. Right now I just have it on standard. I very rarely get to shoot comets. Lights, just have them on average. Use all processors. That's all that's checked. Dark, average. Hot pixel detection and removal, and dark optimization. Still using on use all processors. Flats average, that's it. Bias average. Alignment automatic. Intermediate files, I use TIFFs when I'm finished. I have TIFFs checked, and there is some more stuff. You got a little slider over here that covers up a couple of those buttons. So cosmetic, I don't have any of these checked. And output, I have it checked. Create an output file, auto save name, pin the number so it doesn't override it. You can have it create those files wherever you want to. And with picking those three dots, you can make you a file on your desktop. Is the easiest thing to do if you can find them real quickly. So that'll do that, and you'll know where your files are. And the last thing gonna want to mess around with, or not mess around with, settings for Deep Sky Stacker are your raw fits settings. This is what the has to do with the outputs. This is what I use. This works great. Sometimes I mess with this, but for right now, starting off, this is all you want for raw files. Use camera white balance, bilinear interpolation. Do not set the black point to 0. That can create some funky things. You use it certain times, but for now, just use camera and bilinear. Fits I don't ever use, so nothing is checked under that. If you've changed any of those, click apply. If they were different on your computer, click apply and OK. And here in just a second, we'll throw a couple of files into Deep Sky Stacker and let it run a little bit. Okay, I'm back here. I was trying to find kind of some examples of throwing some stuff into Deep Sky Stacker. Here I have some North American Nebula images. I'm just going to remove everything so there's nothing there. I'll go ahead and make a little folder. I've got North American Nebula, so I'm going to do set 2. I'm going to pick my lights first. I'm going to pick the CR2 files that are straight out of my camera. Got 32 of them. Tell it they're light files. And this gives you lots of information about them right off the bat. These have already been run through and stacked, but I'm going to do it again. at first it won't give you a score, and some of this information is not there to begin with, but it tells me it's at ISO 1600. Exposure 3 minutes and 0 seconds. So I know what's going on with the file. You can look at this little pattern here and tell if you've accidentally brought JPEGs over or if they're CR2 files. Plus you got your file extension here. So a lot of information across through here tells you where they are. So first I'm going to bring over my lights. Next I'm going to bring my darks. I'm going to go ahead and do this the long way, but the nice thing is I've already run this once. It's already made my dark file, so I could technically just drag this one dark file over and tell it that's my dark, and it doesn't have to do any processing. But I'll go ahead and highlight all my darks, drop them, tell them they're dark frames, and I'm same with my flats. Down here you see there's already a master flat. That's where it's done the processing, but I'm going to do it anyway. Drop all of them on there. Flat frame. Okay. Now we're ready to go. We've got all of our images in there. It's still picture the moon because that was the last one I clicked on. So let's see if I click on that. Nothing. Doesn't look very special, does it? Believe it or not, there's a bright red nebula in there. So I'm going to go to register check pictures. Actions, a lot of times I'll tell it to pick the best 90% in case one of them had some problems in it. You can go through there by yourself later and look at these scores. If some of the scores look bad, you can take them out by yourself. I'm just going to let it automatically do this, starting off basically. So I'm going to register already registered pictures, which means even these ones that I've already run, this is like running them the first time. Automatic detection of hot pixels will put them out. Stack after registering, I'm going to stack 90% of them. Advanced, remember that number from a while ago, 48%. You can hit this and see how many stars it sees in the frame. 1600 stars is probably way more than enough. If you move that slider, you'll get more stars or less stars, and that's what it's actually using to detect stuff, to do its alignment. It aligns all those stars up, so you don't need 2,000 stars for it to do it, but my computer's pretty quick, it'll do it fast. So I'm going to hit OK. We're going to go through that. It'll do recommended settings. Just kind of leave them the way they are to begin with. Starting off simple. So it's going to tell you it's got 12 detected processors on my computer. It's an hour and 36 minutes worth of exposures. 10 dark frames, 20 flat frames. I'm going to average them. Come out with a master. And I'm going to hit OK. Like I said, this computer is pretty quick, so it will go through this fairly quickly. I'll probably just let it run, and I'm going to speed it up. Okay, it is finished spitting my file out here. Still doesn't look great though, does it? But I will quickly go through this, just like I said, very quickly. There's all kinds of videos out there on doing your processing. When you get this, you see this, you can see that you've got some nebulosity in there. On your levels tab here, I would not recommend doing any of your processing in this. This is just kind of a tool. You can see, hey, I've got something good there, or oh man, that doesn't look good. But real quick, you've got the sliders here. There's a button here that says linked settings. If you just want to move the red, you can do that, or if they're lined up pretty good to begin with, you can hit link settings. It'll move them all at once. I may need to bump that red up, so I'm going to unlink them. You can also use your directional arrows left and right to move things. And then you hit apply whenever you've made a change. Luminescence, it's kind of messing with the curve, so we'll move it just a little bit. Hit apply, see what it looks like. Things start looking a lot better really quickly when you do this. Saturation, I'm going to bring that up to about 18, which is probably too high, but show you the red nebula. But messing with this will give you an idea of what your picture is going to look like once you actually start getting into Photoshop. But you can see here that I've blown these stars out. All this just with my curves, so that's not what you're gonna. That's not how you're gonna do your processing anyway. You're gonna use Photoshop. See, I moved that curve back down to where it wasn't hitting, and now all my stars came back. But the way to save these files is to have your file. I have one here called test1. So to save these files, if you want to save this picture just for to see what it looks like, you're going to go to save picture to file. It's going to test1. I've already picked that. I can go to my desktop, scroll down, I found it, or wherever you put it. So I'm sending it to test1. I'm going to hit apply adjustments to the saved image, and that'll be this exact image that we just messed with. So I'm just going to say North American Nebula. I'll put a capital A there for applied. You can type it out. It will save it to the folder test1. What we really want to work with in Photoshop, if I go to save over here, save picture to file, we'll click this down to embed adjustments in the image, but don't apply them. And I will call it NAN, and I'm going to put an NA for not applied, and save that. That way, when I go to my folders, if I open up the one that's going to be the one we messed with in Deep Sky Stacker, I'm going to start with this. But I've already caused problems for processing. If I go to the other file, it's going to look a lot like one of my just files straight out of the camera. But all the information's there. It hasn't been messed with, corrupted, stretched too far, clipped, all the problems you have with processing. It's all there. Don't be tempted to mess with it in this either. You can mess with it, but you'll wind up causing problems ultimately. Best thing is to do is follow people's tutorials that you can find everywhere, where you go through and you do your curves, and then you go and you do your levels, and you have to do several iterations of this, and it'll quickly bring you back to what looked like what you saw from the Deep Sky Stacker where we messed with it. You can get there pretty quickly, but you've saved information, you haven't caused problems. There's some other things that Deep Sky Stacker can do to remove. I can still see some granulation of red in here. This was also shot on a Canon 6D with a full mod and a light pollution filter. So that full mod lets all this red through really well. This was, moon was at 90%, I believe. It wasn't super close to the moon, but still a lot of pollution from the moon and quite a bit of light pollution here at my house. But you can see there really quickly. That's how you use Deep Sky Stacker. I can't speak today. And get started into Photoshop, and then there's use all of the available processes for doing your images. So Anyway, gonna do that real quick. Hopefully it's not too long of a video, and I hope it helps. I'll probably use it myself for future reference because I've had problems with getting my settings screwed up on Deep Sky Stacker. This will let me reset it back to 0 and mess with some stuff later.